Welcome to Real Estate 360, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Mike Ambrosio, will provide you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate, and much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. This is Mike D'Ambrosio with Real Estate 360 Radio. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're talking anything and everything real estate, providing you great information and education. We have a great show for you in store today, but before I introduce my guests, I have a couple housekeeping items to do. Just a reminder for those of you just tuning in, there's a couple different ways you can listen to our show. That is on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM. You can also listen to us live online at kdow.biz. And KDOW also has an app, so log into your app store and download it today. I just found this app actually a couple of weeks ago, and it's a really good one. Has Joe been pitching that lately, or no? Once in a while? We better remind him next time. It's a good app. So anyways, we come to you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. I'm on Mondays. And also, we're a live show, so we love to hear your questions and your phone calls. If you'd like to chime in and give us a call, it's 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220. And we love to hear your suggestions on future topics, guests, and content that you desire. And finally, if you missed any of our shows or want to sign up for updates, visit the website, RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. And if you ever have any questions, I'll give my info at the end of the show, but you can always email me, Mike at RE360radio.com or 408-357-6177. And finally, last item on the housekeeping list is the KDOW Business and Money Expo is coming up on April 5th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Santa Clara Convention Center. A lot of great stuff going on there, networking, financial seminars, business workshops, the expo with a lot of different businesses, and the booths will be open all day. So it's going to be a great time, and good if you're interested in business and money. I think we all are, right? So anyways, let me introduce my guest today. I'm really excited to have him in studio. We have Tom Tognoli, founder and chief operating officer of Intero Real Estate Services. How you doing, Tom?
Doing good, Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Tom is part of Intero Real Estate, and had him come on today. We really wanted to talk about the 2014 market outlook, what's going on, inventory levels, buyers, sellers, what to do. I know a lot of people, we talked about it before the show came on, is, that's always the first question we get being in real estate when you're out at parties.
Every holiday party, that's the first question anybody asks. How's the market? Should I buy? Should I sell? Yeah. What's it like?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it'd be good to have you on, and, we can give the audience some good information about what we think is going to go on, or especially you, because you're around, a lot of different, you're an expert, obviously, but you're around a lot of experts with the company and people, all around the state every day. So I guess let's get into it. Maybe if you want to give a little bit of your background in real estate and where you came from and all that, that'd be good.
Yeah, sure. No, I got in the real estate business. I've been in it for 25 years. Got in back in 1987. Just before, the stock market crash and the earthquake of 89.
Right.
So I had kind of a wild run in the early 90s, adjusting to a pretty crazy market, radically different than what we're experiencing today. I mean, There was over 10,000 houses on the market back then, and I think today we have about 600 houses currently for sale in Santa Clara County. So, but I've, done everything from, selling houses, managing real estate offices, as you mentioned, one of the founders of Intero, and one of the partners that own the company today. And, we have 2,000 realtors and, close to 75 offices, all over California and several other states as well.
Nice. And you also are the author of Intero's wildly popular Monday Morning Mojo. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's it kind of happened by accident. I read an inspirational blog every Monday morning, and I just started it probably, I don't even know, 15 years ago, and it was just only meant for my office, and a couple of people heard about it, and I sent it out to a few more people and a few more people, and now it gets syndicated and gets sent out to probably 10,000 people every single Monday morning.
Wow.
And then people are forwarding it off onto Facebook, so who knows? I mean, it really does reach all around the world. There's people all over the world that subscribe to it. It's pretty cool. It's a fun and very rewarding thing to do every week.
Yeah, it's a great blog, and the one this morning was really good. It resonated with me because I'm trying to do. Why don't you maybe briefly
about it?
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so sometimes I write them and I think, oh man, this is a home run. Everyone's gonna love it, and it's radio silence after it goes out. Nobody even replies. But
sounds like radio.
Yeah, it does. But this morning's, I got just a ton of response from it, and it was just all about it was entitled "Walking the Dog."
Yeah.
And just about the impact of doing the small things consistently over a long period of time. So I talked about if I walk my dog 30 minutes 5 nights a week for a year, I will walk 500 miles. I'll burn 250 calories. I'll spend some quality time with my wife. I can listen to 10 books. I can do all these amazing things, lower my cholesterol, lower my blood pressure.
Right.
But I don't have to worry about all of that if I just walk my dog 30 minutes.
Yeah, and it's all about being consistent with that, and doing it every day. And it resonated with me because I have income goals. I have physical fitness goals. I'm getting married this year, so it's like I got these goals that I need to.
I see you at the gym every Tuesday morning with your trainer.
Exactly. So we gotta keep it going, and it's just about being consistent.
There's a great book if any of you guys are interested. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Just an amazing book that really breaks down how simple success really can be if you're just consistent at doing the small things on a daily basis.
Right. If you're just tuning in, have in studio Tom Tognoli, the COO of Intero Real Estate Services. We're talking about the 2014 market and all that good stuff. And really quick, just to wrap up the blog, how can people sign up for that blog?
Well, that's interesting. So you can go to our www.interomojo.com and you can sign up to receive my blog, and my partners also create blogs. We have one that's just a real estate snapshot blog that comes out every Tuesday morning called The Insider. We have ones on leadership, on the luxury real estate market, cool applications that are available to make your life simpler.
Right.
There's even a fitness blog on there as well, and you can sign up for all or just individual ones of those.
Excellent. All right, well, let's get into the 2014 market outlook and what you think and what you're seeing, happen and go on, and what you think's going to
happen in the future. Well, reflecting back a little bit, 2013 was a pretty crazy year. In general, real estate is a little bit like the weather, and especially even here in the Bay Area, it's hard to give a blanket statement what the real estate market is like, because every market is a little bit different. But in general, I think that you can say, in the majority of the Bay Area, housing prices were up probably 30% in 2013.
Right.
Prices are still going up today just because inventory is so incredibly low. There's just absolutely nothing for sale right now. And so we just have a big push to get out there and communicate to people that if you've been thinking about selling your home, now is the time. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, the scary part for a lot of people, though, is if I sell my house, where am I going to move to? And oh my God, I'm going to have to jump into that competitive market. But looking into 2014, I personally find it hard to believe that property values will jump 30% again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a pretty big leap. But all indications to from what I read and the people that I talk with and the things that I know going on in the market, we're anticipating a really strong 2014. As long as the economy continues to do well as a whole. Interest rates don't go crazy. People are freaked out because rates may be at 4 or 5%. And I laugh. I bought my first house in 1989. I had a negam loan with home savings that was like 11.5%, and it was a screaming deal at the time. We're just looking for a good market. We just need more inventory.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I certainly think inventory will build a little bit. I just don't think that we're going to see, a massive build of inventory, because there's so much pent-up demand. There's so many buyers in the market. Anything that's getting listed for sale that's even reasonably well priced, that doesn't have some adverse condition, distress issue, is selling with multiple offers. So almost everything is getting gobbled up as fast as it hits the market. I think 2014 is going to be good. I'd say, as a buyer, it's frustrating,
right?
Because you're going out, you're competing with multiple offers, and I know a lot of times, God, they wish there was a whole bunch of houses out there they could buy,
right?
But you also have to be careful what you wish for, because when there's that many houses, that means property values aren't going up, and then there's a whole other set of concerns when you're a buyer doing it in that market.
That's true, yeah. So let's go back to what you said about a seller worried about moving. They have to sell their house, and they could get a great price for it, but then they're going to be going out into the competitive market,
sure,
or if they're lucky, they're moving out of state and not having to worry about it.
And you get a lot of those. You get a lot of those.
So what are some of the things that they got to think about, or what can they do?
Well, I think the first thing that you just have to make the decision: do you really want to do it?
Right.
And you have to be committed to moving up. And there's a few options. In a perfect world, What you would be able to do is get your home sold for top dollar and negotiate the ability to stay in the house for a period of time after the close of escrow until you could find a new home. Now, most people aren't going to let you stay there in an indefinite amount of time, but several months. And, if you can't find something in that time frame, I'll be honest, I would tell you it's just like remodeling your house. You can live in your house while it's getting remodeled.
Right.
But if it's a significant remodel, I recommend that you move out and go rent something, whether you get into corporate housing or something like that. But when you got money in the bank and you can close a deal quickly, you're going to get the best deal. I know it's an inconvenience.
Yeah.
But if you're really committed to do it and you really want to take advantage of the market like it is today with regard to selling your home, I know it's a little bit scary, but I would just sell my house, try and negotiate as much rent back as I could. I wouldn't necessarily go jumping into buying something, because you feel like you have a gun to your head and you have to do it because I got to be out of my house in 2 months or 3 months. If you find a great house and you can negotiate a good deal that you're comfortable with, great. If you can't, don't be afraid to, make that sacrifice. You have your money in the bank from the sale of your home. Go live in corporate housing. I mean, you can get some great corporate housing deals, fully furnished apartments, silverware in the drawers. Just move your clothes in, put your stuff in storage, and if it takes you a few more months, 6 months to go find that perfect house, do that. I know that's not what most people want to hear.
Yeah.
But I really think that's what you need to do.
But on the same token, you'll have the money in the bank and you'll be even that much stronger of a buyer in the next property.
Absolutely.
And as well as you'll have the most leverage possible. Yeah, you're going to get the top dollar as a seller, but you're also going to have the most leverage at that point to not demand, that's kind of a strong word, but
get the best deal.
So rent back, whatever you need to make the deal happen, you're going to be in the best position possible to do it at that time.
The only way you're ever going to get an offer accepted on a deal when you have your house still to sell and you can't afford to close the house without closing your house is you pay a completely ridiculous price for the home that you're going to buy, which I don't think makes sense.
Right.
And people will try to do it all the time. I see it. I want to give it a shot. I want to try and go. I found this house. I don't want to sell my house first. And I'll be honest, sometimes people just have to go through that process to realize that it's not going to work.
Yeah. Right.
But once you've made up your mind that that's what you want to do, I think you just have to get the ball rolling and, like remodeling your house, it'd be ideal that you could live there during the remodel, but you may just have to go move into corporate housing for 6 months or as long as it takes to find that perfect home that you really want to buy.
Right.
But you'll get a way better deal if you can do that. If you can go in, cash on the barrelhead and close the deal in, 30 days, with no issues. I mean, that's a pretty sweet deal for buyer. And you have to do that to compete in today's market because you're going to be one of 10 or 15 people that are going to be able to do that. So if you have a contingency, you're done.
Right. Well, if you're just tuning in, I'm with Tom Tognoli, the COO of Intero Real Estate Services. We're talking the 2014 real estate market. Are you thinking about selling your home this year? Are you thinking about buying something else, investing? Give us a call, 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220. We'll catch you on the other side of the break.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We're talking in studio live with Tom Tognoli, the COO of Intero Real Estate Services. And we're talking the 2014 market, buyer and seller toolkit. We'd love to hear from you. If you guys have any questions for Tom or for myself, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220. And let us know if you guys want any advice, any information, and want to get your questions answered. So give us a call. So let's get back into it, Tom. Let's talk about the seller side, and we'll talk about buyers maybe in the next segment. But sellers, I often ask myself too, like on a daily basis, especially in a market like this with the inventory, what are they waiting for?
Yeah.
Or what? It's you can't push anyone to do something that they don't want to do, obviously. But what might be some of the reasoning behind it, and some of the other things that are involved in is it Super Bowl? Is it, what is it?
Well, I think, certainly time of the year has an impact, and again, historically, you and I talked about this a little bit before the show. You do see, it seems like, for whatever reason, after the Super Bowl's over, inventory starts to pick up.
Right.
And you'll see more properties coming on the market. I mean, certainly, other issues with regard to why people aren't putting their home on the market is property values are going up.
Yeah.
You're feeling like, oh my God, I'm afraid I'm gonna leave some money on the table.
Right.
I should hold out another 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And so, people do get just a little bit paralyzed by that. And so like I tell everybody, I think a seller, when evaluating, whether should we sell our house now or should we wait for the home to go up in value, I think it's almost like you have to look at yourself as a buyer, like you're buying your own home
right
at that price that it's worth today.
Right.
And just like I would advise any buyer who's buying a house today, you don't want to buy a house today speculating on that it's going to go up in value and you're going to be able to sell it in 6 to 12 to 18 months from now for a profit. You might be able to, and given our current market conditions, there's probably a pretty good chance that you will.
Right.
But I really do think you need to look at real estate from an investment standpoint as a longer term investment, 5, 7, 10 years. Because I think if you're looking at anything less than that, you're not really an investor, you're a speculator.
Right.
And I just think you're opening yourself up to a lot of vulnerability. So if you're a seller sitting there on the sidelines going, well, should I do it now or should I wait? Yeah, I mean, you've had a big run up in prices depending upon where you're at. And if you're in a position where you can afford to sell it, I'm not saying you have to sell, but just, look out and say, are you going to be okay if your home's worth less than what it is today in 6 or 12 months?
Right.
Because there is that chance. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is that possibility.
There's always a possibility of that, yeah.
Just like if you're a buyer buying a house and you think you're going to buy it and sell it in 6 to 12 months, I wouldn't advise you probably to do that either.
Right.
Unless you're buying some sort of a fixer-up or building a house or something like that, which is a little bit of a different deal.
Right. So what about sellers that, might be a little overzealous of what the market's been the past year? What can you say to someone that, maybe their house is worth $900,000, right? But they want to list it for $1 million or $1.1 million because they think that the market might drive it to that, right? What would you say to somebody like that?
Well, that's a very common thing. And of course, we all have an overinflated opinion of what our home is worth, myself included, right?
Well, it's an emotional thing. You're attached to the house, but you also, want.
Yeah. Well, look, I've even like trying to figure out what do I think my house is worth. Not that I'm interested in selling. I have my own opinions, but I'll often ask other real estate agents because I really know they have an unbiased opinion,
right?
With regard to specifically, what my home is worth. But what I would tell you is that you don't want to, when you overprice a house, especially in a market like the one we're in today, when everything is selling with multiple offers, the key to getting top dollar for your home is getting it sold in 10 to 14 days.
Right.
If you're not selling it in 10 to 14 days, I honestly think that every day that goes by, your home is worth a little bit less than it was had you gotten it sold in that first 10 to 14 days.
Right. So often what I tell people is you're at the risk of, if you overprice your home and you don't sell it within that, high marketability time, right? And you end up selling it down the road and having to reduce the price, you might be worse off at the end when you sell it.
Almost guaranteed that you will. Guaranteed that you'll sell it for less if you overprice it. Now there's certain areas and certain price ranges that are a little bit different. When you get in the super high-end luxury markets, things are a little bit different. There's not a biggest pull of a buyer up in that. When you're talking a $900,000 or $1 million house, which I know if people were listening from the other part of the country, they'd think we were out of our mind. I was in Tennessee last week, and it was like average sales price of $160.
Yeah.
But you're just going to cost yourself money in the long term if you don't capitalize on it. Getting that price right up front.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think a lot of people too, they've gained a lot of equity over this last year. So it'd be worth a call to your real estate, your real estate professional or whoever you trust to give you that advice and get an equity check and just see where you're at. And if you had thought about selling and it might be a good time, then check it out. Check out your values. Not all the internet sites are always the most accurate.
They're not, look at their, Zillows and the Trulias and all those, they're good. They're just good to kind of get a general just framework, but especially with upward moving markets like the ones that we've experienced recently or any radically changing markets like we've had, they just can't keep up with the changes. But the one person you never want to ask about home values is your neighbor or your best friend, because they'll always tell you what you want to hear and not what you need to hear.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about buyers on the other side of the break. So stick with us. You're listening to RE360 Radio. Give us a call if you have any questions. 1-800-516-1220. 1-800-516-1220. If you thought about selling or you're thinking about buying, give us a call. I'm with Tom Tognoli from Intero. We'll catch you on the flip side.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We're talking live in studio today with Tom Tognoli, the COO of Intero Real Estate Services. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions for Tom, give us a call at 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about the value of your house or concerns about the market, and want to get some more information. So let's get back into it. Last segment, we spoke a little bit about sellers and how to approach that. Let's talk about buyers now, because I know there's some people that might be, wanting to purchase property.
A lot more want to buy than sell right now.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little outweighs the other, but, so let's talk about interest rates and some of the other things that go into purchasing property in 2014.
Yeah, well, rates are just, even though they've come up off of the floor, just like ridiculously low on a historical basis. And the fact that you can borrow money as cheap as you can today, and then when you factor in, the tax advantage that you can write off the interest. If you're borrowing money even at 4.5%,
right?
You're really talking about borrowing that money at, probably 50 to 60% of that, because you're getting the tax write-off, which is amazing. So, if I were a buyer, I think it's, as much as property values have gone up, it's still an amazing opportunity because of the interest rate level that they're at today.
Yeah.
Because if you sit and wait and rates do go up, they're probably going to continue to go up from here. I don't think they're going to go flying through the roof anytime soon.
Right.
But, if you think about you're getting a, $500,000 or $500,000 loan on a house, every 1% that the interest rate goes up, it's going to cost you $5,000 a year in interest. Mm-hmm. And again, not that you're going to necessarily own every house that you have for 30 years.
Right.
But if you own a home for 30 years, just do the math. That's a big number. It's $150,000 over the life of the time that you're owning the home.
Yeah.
So if you buy a house, you really almost have to look at it. If you were going to own it for 30 years, it's really costing you $150,000 more than it is today.
Right.
If you were going to own it for 30 years, if rates went up 1%. So capitalize on it. It's amazing. I think we'll look back, 10 or 15 years from now and say, man, I wish I would have bought a ton of houses. Just like we sit here, you and I know, don't you and I both wish that we bought 10 or 20 or 30 houses back in 2009 or 2010?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you and I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking right now.
That's definitely a high probability. But, and the other thing about that too is that it decreases your purchasing power as well. So with a lot of buyers that there is a lot of buyers that are on that cusp, right? Like whether they can afford this or that, and the longer that they wait and the rates go up more and more, they're going to price themselves out of certain areas.
They are.
So that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, and I think that if you're a buyer in a market like this, you just need to make sure. Really in any market, that you're working with true professionals across the board.
Right.
I can't tell you what a huge impact that's going to have. On your ability to, number one, be able to negotiate the best price, but when you find that home, when you're working with a good, reputable, well-respected brokerage, an agent in the community, that all helps you, helps your chances and opportunity to get in that home when you finally find it.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to talk about it. We got to take those a quick segment, but we got to take a break soon. But I definitely want to talk about that on the other side of the break, is how to create a winning offer and why it's important to have a good agent and all that good stuff. So if you have any questions or input, 1-800-516-1220. We're talking the 2014 real estate market with Tom Tognoli of Intero Real Estate Services. Stick with us. We'll catch you on the other side.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We're talking live in studio today with Tom Tognoli, the COO of Intero Real Estate Services, a fellow Paisan, fellow Italian. I was talking with Kevin before the show, and he was like, how many more Italian people are you going to have on this damn show? You know, I'm like, well, hey, man, I don't know.
It's called spaghetti smashers, my dad calls us.
There we go. Right on cue. Right on cue, baby. I think he has that on cue for every show that I do. Yeah. Anyways, if you got any questions for the two Italians today, give us a call, 1-800-516-1220. 1-800-516-1220. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about buyers and we didn't really get into yet how to create a winning offer because it's so competitive out there. And there's a lot of things that go into creating a winning offer. It's not just writing up an offer and emailing it over. There's a lot of different things that go into writing a winning offer. So maybe you can talk about some of the things you might coach your agents on or the company. I know a lot of stuff we get coached from at our office about writing offers and what to do and all that stuff. So maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing is, so I just, I'll put myself in listing agent shoes or the seller's shoes, and so of course the most important thing, beyond what you're going to pay for the house,
right,
is can you actually close the deal?
Right.
And so the most important thing is making sure that you're completely pre-approved, when you're going in and presenting an offer. That doesn't mean just a quick glance. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. It doesn't matter if you can afford to pay cash for the house.
Right.
But if you're getting financing, you need to humble yourself and go get yourself pre-approved, and most preferably get yourself pre-approved by the lender that your real estate agent who's representing you requests that you get approved by.
Of course. Because
when I'm a listing agent and you tell me that your buyer is pre-approved, the first question I'm going to want to know, are they pre-approved by somebody who you've ever worked with in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Because for all I know, they may have gotten pre-approved on the internet by some crazy person, and who knows whether the deal's ever going to close. So that's the most important thing first when you get out the gate.
Definitely.
Certainly, believe it or not, an important component of it is a lot of times when you find that perfect home is, finding out what some of the hot buttons of the sellers are, especially if it's been like a home that's been in the family for a long time.
Right.
A lot of times writing a personal letter to the seller when you're about to present your offer, just about your family and how important it is to buy the home. For some may feel like, well, that seems kind of ridiculous. Don't they only just care about what I'm going to be willing to pay for the house?
Right.
You'd be amazed. People do really. I've known situations where sellers have actually taken less for homes, significantly less, tens of thousands of dollars less,
right,
because they wanted this specific family to get the home that they had raised their kids in.
I had a deal, two of them last year where we were FHA offers, and they took a lower offer. We beat out all cash higher offers because they went to the same church and the letter we wrote and everything. It was just like an emotional connection, and that was huge. And any other, if you didn't have any of that emotional connection, we wouldn't have had a shot. Right. A shot at all.
Right.
So that's a great point.
And then don't underestimate again the value of the broker or the agent that you have representing you. It's always a sticky subject in the real estate business, but don't go with the person who's going to credit you back commission when the deal closes, because it's such an insignificant amount of money in the big picture of things. Our industry is a very small industry. And so when I'm representing a seller, again, it's not only about, hey, is the buyer qualified? And can the buyer close the deal? But what's the reputation of the broker representing the buyer?
Definitely.
Are they going to be able to control that buyer? Are they somebody who's really got the experience and the professionalism to be able to close the transaction?
Right.
Because there'll be a lot of times where we may have multiple offers on one property, and one of the contributing factors a lot of the times is, do I feel comfortable? And I'll advise my client, who do I feel most comfortable with is going to be able to close this transaction, make your life simple as a seller so that you guys can move on where you want to go, and it's not going to be all this craziness where you've got some part-time realtor doing it on the side, that's willing to credit you back commission, because in the end, I think it costs you far more in money, stress, and everything else. So just keep the big picture in mind as a home buyer.
Yeah.
If you're buying a house for, $9,000, don't get hung up on a few grand. I know it sounds in the small picture things, because a few thousand sounds like a lot, but when you're talking about $1 million, it's insignificant in the big picture things.
Right.
And you need to have the very, very best representation, in my opinion, by the best brokerages and the best agents that have great reputations in the market. And don't sell yourself short, because you'll lose the house that you want to buy,
right.
If you do that.
I think the relationship part is huge amongst agents as well, because I learned this, we were talking about it before the show, is I had my own company before I came to Intero. And when you're on your own, or you're with a small brokerage, you don't get the exposure to the other agents in your off, not only just our company, but other companies as well that are bigger. You get that exposure, you get the relationships, and that's how deals get done for the most part. There's other factors to it too. But you got to ask yourself, is your agent, are they well respected? Do they have a good reputation? Are they well connected? Because by being well connected too, they're going to know a lot of other people in the business, and that person might be listing a property that you fall in love with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the most important parts, and I think sometimes people get so myopic on the nickels and dimes.
Yeah,
they lose the big picture. And so just my recommendation, just like whether you're selecting an attorney to represent you or a doctor, don't go to the one who's going to do it for the cheapest, but who's going to do the best job for you, because in the end, that's how you're going to win and be most satisfied.
Yeah, definitely. And we got just a couple more minutes in this segment, but what about, let's briefly touch on the life of a realtor and how you become, what their daily
activities are,
or what, how you become a professional realtor, like the ones we're talking about, that'll get you the deals and give you the most for your money too.
Yeah, well, I think, again, on the surface, I think a lot of the perception is, and even a lot of new people getting into the industry is like, I hold an open house on the weekend and a buyer walks in and I sell them the house.
Yeah.
And, the reality of it is, in the real estate business, you're an entrepreneur, you're starting your own company. And so, it requires, some financial investment, and it requires a lot of time on your part. To get yourself started, it's about, our company, we're big into education, about having the most well-trained professional real estate agents in the industry. So the question you have to ask yourself, if you have any interest in getting in the real estate business, am I an entrepreneur, or do I need a paycheck on the 15th and the 30th?
Yeah.
Because when you're a real estate broker, you're an entrepreneur. You don't have a 401k, no stock purchase plans, no medical benefits.
Right.
It's your own little company, and you got to provide those things for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, it's an entrepreneurial business. I love it. And
I love it too.
It's not for everybody, but it is for some people, and people that are good at it. You definitely want to connect yourselves with them if you're thinking about investing in real estate.
Absolutely.
So we got one last segment. Stick with us. You're listening to RE360 Radio. I'm live in studio today with Tom Tognoli from Intero Real Estate Services. Give us a call if you have any questions. 1-800-516-1220. 1-800-516-1220. We'll see you in a few minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio with RE360 Radio, KDOW AM 1220. We're live in studio today with Tom Tognoli from Intero Real Estate Services, the Chief Operating Officer, and talking about the 2014 market. We've had a great discussion today, talked about buyers, sellers, real estate agents, how to choose one, what goes into writing an offer. So I think we got a lot of good information out there. And, if you have any questions or anything, Tom will give his contact info in a little bit, but why don't you give us an update on Intero and some of the great things that Intero does as far as the foundation and some of the charity work that we do? Yeah.
So, one of the, the most important and the biggest things that we do within our company is we have a foundation. It's called the Intero Foundation, as you mentioned. We created it when we first started the company to, give back to the community, helping primarily children in need. We've raised almost $2.8 million which has been through really just individual donations from agents within the company out of each one of their closings. So the cool part is, this isn't just a big corporate thing where we're donating one big check, although we do that as well. But this is really one agent at a time, every transaction really participating in the foundation and trying to make a difference in the community, which has really been a huge differentiator. I often tell people that Intero really happen to be a personal, professional growth and development company, changing the lives of children in need. And we happen to sell real estate on the side. That's really, truthfully, and down deep inside, I really believe that's what makes us different and unique. Right.
Definitely. So what are some of the events that we have coming up? I know a lot of things are done at Intero Saratoga, which is where your office is. And so I think you got the food truck event. And
so we do a couple of big food truck events. So
the band's going to be playing there too.
The band's going to be playing on there.
I'm in a real estate. It's all realtors band, so we'll be jamming there.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Yeah, absolutely, you will. No, we do that. So we do a big food truck event. We did 2 of them last year. We probably had over 1,000 people from the community show up to each one of those events. We had 10 to 12 different food trucks out there, which was a blast. We have Sam's Chowdermobile come out just for our office and our own company. We have a big, huge car show. I think it's in May. I don't have the exact date.
Yeah.
But a huge car show, muscle cars, just a fun event that we do on a Saturday.
Right.
If you go on and you like our Facebook page, Intero Real Estate Services Facebook page, we'll be posting up there all the cool events that we're doing. We also have an Intero Foundation Facebook page. If you go on and you just like that, it'll obviously anything that we have going on with the foundation will show up in your news feed or on in your feed there on Facebook. But we're always looking for ways to generate money, make a difference in the community, and it's just been a huge differentiator for our company. Just super excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. And if people want to get in touch with you or with the office, how can they do that?
Well, the best thing to do always, www.interorealestate.com is our public website. You can go on there. You can find Mike. You can find me. You can find everybody at Intero. You can surf for properties, all sorts of stuff. But you're always welcome to call me anytime at 408-863-3000. Or you can always email me at tognoli@interoinc.com. And happy to help you guys out in any way I can.
Perfect. Hey, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yeah. Always good hanging out with a good paisan.
There you go. I like that. And the question of the week is, what is the name of Tom's blog? We said it in the beginning of the show. If you email me during the week or call me, you'll be entered into a drawing for a free pizza at Giorgio's or Frankie, Johnny, and Luigi's. So you can always email me, Mike at RE360radio.com, Mike at RE360radio.com, or 408-357-6177, 408-357-6177. What is the name of Tom's blog? We were live today in studio with Tom Tognoli of Intero Real Estate Services talking about the 2014 market outlook. Thank you so much for listening today, and have a great week, everybody, and I will talk to you on Monday.
You've been listening to Real Estate 360 on AM 1220 KDOW. For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. AM 1220 KDOW.